Planet Fitness is perhaps the most memed gym in existence. Everything from the lunk alarm sounding like an air raid siren every time somebody makes a noise, to the free pizza and bagels, lack of free weights, and shutting out members for being too fit. Planet Fitness has been the laughingstock in the fitness industry for the last 10 years or so. Heck, even I have made 3 different videos clowning on the franchise in the past because of a lot of their ridiculous commercials and gym rules.
You like big muscles?
Or the platinum package. 100% of the fee goes to 75% of the total cost.
I make your little muscle into big muscle.
But right now, Planet Fitness is starting to turn their reputation around. Now let's rewind to where it all began. The franchise officially opened up in 1992 as just a regular gym, but later went on to tailor towards a larger audience. Because the founders, Michael and Mark Grondal, noticed that experienced gym goers, particularly bodybuilders, were scaring off other members. And because they tend to show up almost every day, they filled out the facilities, which meant the gyms became less attractive for the average guy just starting out. So with their new genius idea, they made the franchise cater their branding towards being judgment-free, where all sorts of people were welcome to come in and use their facilities. Except bodybuilders, which they rebranded to calling lunks. And they even made an alarm system that people would use if somebody was grunting or making excessive noise.
Like, really? A pen?
And then they cut down on the pricing tremendously and removed a lot of the old school type gym equipment, which meant their gyms now catered towards beginners or people who weren't showing up to the gym, but they were also so cheap that people wouldn't bother to cancel their memberships because very few would even bat an eye at $10 or $15 per month. A pretty brilliant business idea if you ask me. But here's where the franchise almost fell apart. Because of a lot of their policies, design, and content, people in the fitness and gym industry started calling out Planet Fitness for what they were doing. And the brand started getting a very bad rap from the bodybuilding industry, especially for being the soft type of gym for people who didn't aspire to actually get into shape. Which is saying something, since bodybuilding isn't exactly about getting in shape either. But the Grondal brothers thought that they were doing the right thing by giving the average person, who perhaps would never have stepped into a gym otherwise, to have the opportunity to do so in a less hardcore environment. And it's not like a beginner or somebody who just looks to get a bit healthier is gonna mind that the gym doesn't have 150-pound dumbbells or squat racks. It was cheap, convenient, and they even had an offer where if you pay a little extra, you could bring a friend or family member whenever you wanted. Now, Planet Fitness still got a very bad reputation for being a gym aimed at keeping you mediocre and out of shape so you could keep paying your gym membership. On top of the fact that they gave out pizza to members, had Tootsie Rolls at the counter, and God forbid if somebody brought in a water jug, the lunk alarm was also a big contributor to the brand going viral on YouTube for people usually trying their very best to enter the gym and set off the alarm as fast as possible. But here's when things get a bit interesting. Planet Fitness has now started to turn things around. During the P-word in 2020, they had to close down a lot of their facilities, and to save money and to keep up with new regulations, they closed down a lot of those weekly goodies which had become the laughingstock in the fitness industry, like giving out pizza and bagels every month, and apparently for most of the gyms, these things never returned. And actually, many Planet Fitness gyms are owned by individual owners, just like McDonald's does, where you can buy up one of the locations and you just pay the brand a monthly fee for using their name. This meant that most gyms just scrapped using the lunk alarm altogether because nobody actually found it any helpful. If anything, it was probably even more annoying to hear an alarm which indicated World War III rather than some guy who was just grunting a bit while benching. And this also meant that a lot of the rules they had about clothing, like you couldn't wear tank tops, were also scrapped, because most single owners didn't really care what sort of clothing somebody actually wore to the gym. And by this point, Planet Fitness had basically scared away 99% of the bodybuilders and powerlifting crowd, so very few even bothered getting a membership, which also meant that the gym actually kept up their persona even without all of the ridiculous rules. Now fast forward a couple of years after the P-word and we've seen a rise in science-based lifting, primarily because of guys like Jeff Nippard and Mike Israetel, though those people aren't even considered science-based anymore. Still, people realize that, hey, maybe machines aren't actually that bad, and potentially even better for growing muscle because of the higher stability, loadability, and simple technical execution. And it's not just for beginners, because it's easier to produce high mechanical tension for a specific muscle with a machine that has a set movement pattern. And this had some carryover with guys like Sam Sulek and TNF amongst others, who started to show up to Planet Fitness and getting great workouts done, despite the gym's poor reputation. If guys with hundreds and thousands of followers on social media are heading into Planet Fitness for a quick workout, or even just for doing their cardio, then that speaks volumes that it doesn't matter what sort of gym goer you are. if you're advanced, or if you're a total beginner. Then when you realize that they're like half the price of an average commercial gym, at least in countries like the US and Canada, Planet Fitness isn't all that bad. And even more recently, a lot of these gyms have actually gotten free weights, like free weight benches, and some even have squat racks, which in the past they became infamous for calling intimidating. They're so big now that they can keep running their business model without being a stereotype, and they've basically stopped shutting people out for being too strong or too fit. If Sam Sulek, or God forbid the Trent twins, can have a decent session at Planet Fitness without getting kicked out, then so can you. Sure, it's not the most powerlifting friendly in the slightest, but that is also one of the most niche corners of the fitness and strength sport industry, so it's not like they're losing out on a lot of customers. And in this economy, $15 or $20 per month is an amazing deal for a gym membership, which lets you train at multiple facilities across multiple states and even countries. You get access to clean bathrooms, showers and whatnot, and the gyms never seem to be full, so you can actually train there without spending half your time waiting for equipment. Yeah, Planet Fitness isn't the place you would like to max out your deadlifts, and it doesn't have the best exercise selection on earth, but if your goal is just health or just gaining muscle, then it has enough of what you need, and lots of different machine options. If your goal is to bench 405 and then brag about it to your grandkids for eternity, then it's not the right place for you. But for most casual gym goers who train for fun, it's a great place to be. And hey, that Black Card deal actually has benefits which people use, and it's still much cheaper than most gyms. So I guess you could say that Planet Fitness is actually becoming a gym people respect, and its branding is much more about accessibility than it is shutting people out for being too buff. And in this economy, if you can save a couple of $100 per year by switching gyms, I think many would take that offer. But what do you guys think? Has Planet Fitness redeemed itself after years of ridicule on social media? Do you train at Planet Fitness yourself? If so, what is your experience? I would love to read some great stories from you guys in the comments, but until then, thank you all so much for watching, and if you want early access to videos alongside exclusive videos, then consider becoming a channel member. It's very cheap and affordable, and I will see you all next time.